Whatever date Wednesday.
I haven't seen them.
Last Wednesday?
Yeah, but we are.
We went to Paladins.
Yep, I got it. Yeah, just now. But you need a degree for
So
that.
what I said,
And I guess you need a PhD in engineering, electrical engineering.
distributed. I noticed that this.
Gross, see, then I have to allow
Every 30, yeah, maybe. I was going to say 35,000 because there's a lot.
I'll live with what you got.
well, we can also, we can put that one up on the website.
Yes,
Because we can,
absolutely.
okay. I don't have all my cards.
I will.
If you go on the website, go and look up the assistant general manager. Email it right there. Email it to me. I will put
Your husband is glutton for Paladins.
No, because that's too side.
Talking.
It has to be. This is a one-sided.
I will get that. I will
Doing
get
okay. Well, it's finally, I guess back to the way he was before his gallbladder operation. So, yeah, so he's doing, pretty good.
So do you have to run this thing?
No, I like it.
Okay, sweetie.
Joan, are you going to make the same statement as you did last time? It goes with a different crowd.
Okay, no, I think that would be.
I think that would be a good thing to do. Keep you as transparent as you actually are doing. You can certainly still do that because it does not have anything to do with initial the agenda's already been posted.
Free on my atomic clock.
The people that are above you have made that same request. The finance committee has to go first. So the other two people that are below the finance committee have made that same request because of previous meetings. I try to.
I have to ask Don. Okay.
I didn't know they were above and below. They weren't above and below.
Well, I try to accommodate anybody that I possibly can.
Well, no, but you're not above and below. I don't think we have actually on the steps of the rotunda during the. You said there's room to sit down in the back one time, and I said it's really quite comfortable here. And so that's where you left us. We didn't impede traffic or anything. Okay, let's go. Come on, Doc, get up and word. How you been? But here we got, this is the boss here, and I'm the trustee of things. Okay? I'll tell you what, how serious I'm going to take this job, I'm down with my glasses on.
Oh my gosh. Here we go. That's the one they like the most.
This one's pretty good. Maybe we'll take this one. This is spare in case this one's out of battery.
I just put brand spanking new batteries.
Oh, I got who's that guy next to you?
Lynn was but the time just goes down and down and down and it goes down.
Yeah, very articulated.
It keeps on changing.
Yeah, we're all yeah.
I didn't mention it.
Yeah, and they're right. This thing, I just can't be. I take this thing you've been all seriously.
Yeah.
And I've been out hiking, like, a lot of hiking trips. And yeah, I've changed the band once, and the battery's still good.
I just said hi.
They have 3 minutes. They have 3 minutes open. So I'm we have a 2 minute for them on their I'm not going to tell you after a minute. I'll tell you when they have 1 minute, but we'll do 2 minutes on that. Is that all
Okay,
right?
then you have to tell me when time is up.
Well, yeah, oh yeah, I will tell you when the time's up. But 3 minutes, I'm not going to tell you after a minute. I'll tell you after 2 minutes. 1 minute, that's it. You know what I mean? Because they won't be engaged.
Okay, yeah, right now then.
There, yeah. Yeah.
Good afternoon, everybody.
I'll be back.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the second Meet the Candidates events of 2015. I'm Joan Weiss, and I'm chairman of the election committee. I am recusing myself from the events today and what will follow because my husband is running for the board. So Lynn Michaels is going to come up here. She is going to be acting election committee chairman. Thank you.
Welcome to the second meeting of the Meet the Candidates events. I am Lynn Michaels, and I will be moderating this afternoon. We will be videotaping these proceedings. You will see the camera up front. The video will be made available on the Siena website. We have 5 Siena residents vying for the 2 positions. They are seated in alphabetical order, starting with Lauren Lieberman, Paul Medill, Jerry McElroy, Harvey Rubenstein, and Dawn Weiss. The way that this afternoon will work is by following the same procedures that we have always done in the past. In alphabetical order, in the order I just introduced them, each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves. Then members of the audience will have 1 minute to ask a question. Questions will be directed to each and every candidate rather than to one specific candidate. Ask your questions, please, in the form of a topic, and every candidate will have a chance to answer that topic in their rotational turn. Each candidate will then have 2 minutes to respond. With the 5 candidates, this may be a long meeting, so we will strictly adhere to time limits for both the candidates and for the questioners. We ask that you please be concise and you stick to your question only. If you go over the minute when you're at the microphone, then you will be warned at 30 seconds with the little bell. That means you have 30 seconds to finish up your question. After that, the microphone will be turned off. The microphone, as I said, is there, and please line up in an orderly fashion to ask your question. At the end of the question and answer period, each candidate in reverse alphabetical order will have 2 minutes for closing statements. I would like to introduce the 2 members of the election committee who are working the timer and the time cards and the microphone. They are sitting right here in front, and they are Janet Seidman and Al Guerra. We ask that the audience, each questioner, and each candidate be polite and respectful to each other. We will start off by having the candidates introduce themselves in alphabetical order, then we will continue in a rotating order, so The first question will be directed to Arn, and then when the second question is asked, the starting person then will be Paul, and so forth, and it will go around. Again, each candidate will have 3 minutes to talk, and then the question is 1 minute, and each response is 2 minutes. And at the end of the session, the candidates will have 2 minutes for concluding remarks, and I will have some information when that is done to give you about the voting process, the balloting that you'll be receiving in the mail. So we will start with Arn Lieberman.
Good afternoon. My name is Arn Lieberman. For those new faces today, thank you for coming. For those who were also here yesterday, I applaud your stamina and capacity for punishment. I want to take this time to introduce myself and to tell you what I hope to achieve if elected to the board. About 4 years ago, my wife BJ and I started looking for a place to spend the next chapter of our lives. We visited all over and were quite disappointed with what we found. Finally, on our way back from a trip to the grandkids, we stopped off at Siena, where a friend of ours had previously purchased a house. As soon as we drove in, we fell in love with the place. So we talked and talked for hours, called the kids, and checked the accounts. We analyzed and analyzed from every point of view. Then we bought our own house here in Siena that very same weekend. How's that for informed decision action? We got all the inputs, saw all the points of views, and acted. Well, that's what I've been doing all my working life for some of the largest corporations in the country. I even have a PhD focused on decision making from the Stanford University Graduate Business School. Because my wife and I love living here in Siena so much, I admit to a strong desire to give back. I want to serve this community with the skills that I have developed over the last 5 decades and how to arrive at decisions fairly with all the inputs and all the points of view considered. So I participate in chats with the board. I serve on committees and even chair an ad hoc committee that is charged by the board to look at what premier communities like ours are offering as amenities and services. If you can, come to the next board meeting on October 14th. I will be giving a quick slideshow on some of the interesting amenities we are finding at premier communities like ours throughout the country. By being on the board, I want to help keep this community safe and prosperous and the #1 community of its type. I want to enhance our positive community feeling and get rid of the anger we sometimes hear. Finally, I want to achieve better reporting of what committees and the board are doing. Residents want to know what is happening, not just what has already been happened or voted on. Reporting to you what the committees and the board are doing is really important. I think I can help us do a much better job. I want to use my experience, my enthusiasm, and my talents to raise up to a professional level the quality of communications to you, the residents. That's something I know I can do, and you deserve it. Thank you.
Paul?
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Medell. I've been a resident of Siena for a little over 2 years, but I also bring a fresh point of view. During my time at Siena, I've been privileged to work on the property committee and also work with a number of the Siena clubs. As a result, I've had an opportunity to get to know many of the directors, club members, as well as committee members. I have 50 years of engineering, manufacturing, and management experience. I have an MBA, and I'm a certified accountant. I previously served as president and executive vice president for a number of companies. I'm a fiscal conservative who has been responsible for establishing budgets and performing to those budgets. I set up manufacturing operations in the U.S., Europe, Japan, and China. I previously served as a director officer of a smaller upscale gated community in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, and served on a number of domestic and foreign corporate boards of directors. I have been involved in making difficult decisions in extremely tough times and circumstances. I was an executive director for a large trade association and received their Lifetime Service Award. I've seen good managers and good people make decisions that adversely affected their communities and their companies. These directors, unfortunately, didn't recognize that future problems existed and would happen imminently. If I'm elected, I will work with the board to review their master plan. I will use the committee structure as an integral part of the decision process. I will work with CCMC to establish guidelines to ensure that orders are properly documented and that the work needs to be done and has been properly maintained. I will review staffing levels and compare those staffing levels with other communities to determine that we're staffed at the appropriate level. I will base my decisions on what is best for the entire community, not just one group. Relentless follow-up. Too many times projects get started and they're not finished, or they're finished over budget. What gets measured gets done. I will keep residents informed of decisions and schedules through the internet, community monitors, and as well as in written material in the rotunda. I know that there are many residents of Siena who are on restricted income. However, we still must be diligent and maintain our standards. Las Vegas and Siena has gone through some very difficult times. I know now we have an opportunity to improve the quality of life for Siena residents over the next few years. It would be an honor to serve on the Siena Board of Directors. Thank you.
Jerry?
Well, I'm going to read this opening statement, and for those of you that were here last night, you can just talk among yourselves for the next 2 minutes and 47 seconds because it's exactly the same thing. So, hello, my name is Jerry McElroy. I'm the Common Sense candidate, and I'm asking for your vote for the Siena Board of Directors. If elected, I'll work to control spending, promote courtesy, and preserve Siena's resort-like lifestyle. I've lived in Siena for nearly 16 years, and I'd considered running for the board in the past, but was still working part-time and felt it would be unfair to the community and to the homeowners. Now that I'm retired, I'm available full-time, which is how I ended up as an alternate on the Finance Committee, and that's where I became concerned with how we spend our money. I also learned that the only body that has any authority or to control the spending is the Board of Directors. Now, by way of background, I have over 50 years of business and management experience, starting in my early 20s as a general manager for Cal Oaks Pharmacy, which was a large retail pharmacy in Pasadena. There I learned a lot about business, and I learned a lot about controlling spending. And I also learned how to lay on the floor while being robbed at gunpoint. I learned how to respond at 3 a.m. to alarm calls because someone smashed out the windows of the store. And I learned those pesky customers and sometimes employees that just forgot to pay for the merchandise before leaving the store. All good management experience. Well, fast forward some 30 years and you find me in Reno managing Donnery Outdoor Advertising. Another great lesson in controlling spending, but more important there, I also learned how to get along with everyone, even your competitors. Before I got to Reno, none of the outdoor companies spoke to each other. And what was worse is Washoe County had a sign ordinance that was written to basically put the outdoor companies out of business. So I got all the companies together, got them to work together and talk to each other. And they actually became friends. Still competitors, but good friends. Now what I see here in Siena is somewhat similar. There's a lot of the us versus them, residents versus staff. And as you find in many communities, there are a few residents that are only concerned about themselves and to heck with everyone else. So I like to promote activities that will help foster friendlier relationships between all the residents. Finally, like I said, I've been here 16 years and I've watched the desert transform into this premier upscale community. And I'm concerned that we're starting to decay and revert back into the desert. We're slowly losing that wow factor that we originally had. And I will work to maintain and improve this premier resort-like community. Again, my name is Jerry McElroy, and I ask for your vote. And also remember, I'm retired, so I'm pretty much available full-time. Just think of all the trouble I can cause. Thank you.
Harvey?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Many of you know me from coffee with the board meetings, and committee meetings. When you look at my resume, you will see I am a proven award-winning problem solver. My wife Arlene and I are 6-year residents of Siena. I am the only candidate who is a frequent participant at most board meetings, coffee and chat with board discussions, as well as safety, property, landscape, and the finance committee meetings. Many times I'm the only resident observer of committee meetings. I understand the current and future issues facing our community, and I am familiar with board responsibilities. The NRS, Nevada Uniform Act, requires board members to remember that they are operating a business and have a fiduciary responsibility to the owners, all of us in this room. To me, this means to maintain our existing properties and infrastructure and not look for new expenditures without thorough vetting by the members of our community. You cannot, as a board member, say that because we have the money, let's spend it. The recent tennis fiasco is a primary example. We have expensive landscape, concrete, and tree barrier projects that are not being vetted properly. You can expect me, as a board member, to be a good steward of the Siena HOA funds, have an open mind and be attentive to all homeowner concerns, work to preserve and enhance the Siena lifestyle and value of our homes, and be totally transparent in all Siena interests and work to make a strong contribution to the overall improvements of our community that will benefit all of the residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Don?
Hi. My wife Joan, who you met earlier, and I have spent 14 wonderful years living here in Siena. We just pinch ourselves just about every other day about how great it is to live here and how much we owe to this community, and we both honor that by volunteering to help run this place and to keep it the best place we know of in Southern Nevada. Those of you who regularly attend our board meetings have seen me in action well over 50 times and are completely familiar with the value I bring to our board. For those of you who are fairly new to Siena or have recently decided to get more involved, I bring clarity to issues and dedication to getting things done right. There may be times when you will not agree with my positions, but you will appreciate that I always act in ways that I believe are best for our community. I do not have any hidden agendas. I am a straight shooter. What you see is what you get. My last presentation to our community was about a year ago, going over the board's key results and objectives for 2014. For the first time, I gave you, our homeowners, a role in the appraisal of your board's performance. If I recall correctly, you evaluated our performance just a bit lower than my original evaluation. One example of my insistence on going the extra mile to keep costs contained involved the fix proposed for our fire alarm system last year. I was the only director to push back on a recommendation that we have the original vendor patch it for what I considered to be an outrageous sum of money. We eventually arrived at a much lower cost solution by scrapping our original fire alarm system and completely redoing and upgrading it with a new vendor. I also was the person who conceived of and made sure it happened the election message board. You should look at find out how to access it, because it should be an invaluable tool for being able to compare the candidates and the comments that you will hear over the next few weeks. At the time we decided to renovate our community center, our existing structure was still quite serviceable. We just knew that it was on its way to getting seedy, and now was the time to act. Similarly, our existing committee structure and management systems are still reasonably serviceable, but they have long ceased to be optimal. After all, it was conceived by the builder when we were a young and growing community. We're now 16 years old and need to start learning how to drive on our own. I have many ideas about how to improve our management systems, and will need your help to enable me to work with the board to flesh out my leadership skills. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much to all of the candidates for their introduction to themselves. We are now is the time where members of the audience may come on up to ask the questions.
1 minute, tell them. 1 minute.
And they have, again, 1 minute to ask the question.
Hi, glad you're all here. My name is Pat Sloan, and I would like to know.
Let me help you out here, I apologize.
Okay,
Warm up and then you'll be good to go.
okay. Ready?
Yes.
My name is Pat Sloan. I live at 5116 Vincent Road. I'm happy you all are here. My question is, do you think that we as Siena will be able to maintain our property values in the face of competing new neighborhood communities like the one across town center and the new Toll Brothers?
The first person to answer this question will be Arn Lieberman.
Most of us believe Siena is a special place. We see it as the #1 community of its type around. Those on the ad hoc committee that are looking at communities like ours around the country continue to find nothing better. In terms of amenities and services, Siena has more than most. Above all else, we have two things keeping our property values up. First, we are a community. People love it here. They love the lifestyle, they love the friends they've made, they love the camaraderie they find in clubs and special interest groups. We are not just a collection of pretty homes in a pretty setting. We're a community. We need to keep that distinction alive and well. It sets us apart. The second thing is our low assessments in absence of special assessments. Yes, there are communities like the one they're building across Town Center Road that will have more luxurious facilities, more beautiful pools, and fancy services, but they come at a high cost. Assessments in communities like ours across the country may be as high as $1,000 a month, and some even higher. When you look at what we have for the price we ask, no one beats us. The way to keep our property values up is to emphasize and nurture those two aspects of Siena. A community people love and a wealth of amenities and services at an incredibly low price in assessments. Thank you.
Thank you, Arn. Paul?
There's been a lot of effort to upgrade the community center. I know there's plans on doing the same thing next year for the fitness center. There has been a 3-year plan to improve the landscaping in this area. So we have got a facelift, I think, that is important to compete or to be compared to the other communities that are being built in the area. It also, there is as I travel through the Las Vegas Valley, a number of people who appreciate what Siena has to offer. And I think that when people are traveling to Las Vegas, they're going to at least take a look at Siena. And there's constantly people coming in the community center and down by the tennis courts. And I think the residents of Siena are the best salesmen. So I'm very confident that our property values will come back. There's evidence that that's happening right now. There's fewer homes available, and when they're available for a shorter time period. So I think it'll actually help us in terms of enhancing our value, not hurt us.
Thank you. Jerry?
Well, the short answer is yes. Now, we can go into this. The one thing that I've been concerned about, or one of the things I've been concerned about, is maintaining the resort-like lifestyle here in Siena. And we are losing a little bit of that. I talked about last night, and we had this exact same question last night. I talked about the community center and how they've done a very nice job of renovating it, but it doesn't quite have the wow factor that the original design had. So I think we're losing a little of that. I think this new board has to focus more on what are we, what do we want to be, and make sure that everything we do focuses and goes right toward doing and being what we want to be. And if we're supposed to be, and as I understand it, we were designed as a Italian-style, Italian-themed community, we need to do what we can to maintain that look and that feel. I had an email this morning from one of the ladies that was here last night, new to the community. In fact, I had a couple of them new to the community, and they said they were already concerned, and one of them had only been here 6 months, that we were going to lose the reason they bought here, which was to have that look. So across the street, $1 million homes, multi-million, 12 million, 15 million, a couple million just for the lot, that can only help us here.
Marty?
We are a first-class community. Otherwise, none of us would be here. When they first announced the project across the street and the costs, I said to people, rich people are going to be moving in there. They have parents. When their parents come and see their homes and want to live in the area and can't live in their homes because they're raising families, where are they going to look? Across the street? Our values have to go up. And I can't see any other way for this whole project to not advance our home values at all. It's only going to advance our home values. So, like Jerry said, we were asked the question last night. I really think it's a redundant question. I think if we just open our eyes and take a look, we will see that our values have to go up.
Dawn?
I pretty much agree with everything that's been said. About the only other point I want to add to what's being said is that it's really important that we maintain the positive attitude that residents here feel about living in Siena. That shows through to any newcomer who comes and sees us enjoying our facility, being positive about what we have, and trumpeting the fact that the kind of amenities we have for the dollars we pay in dues is just fantastic and a tremendous incentive for others to come and live here.
Thank you. Next question.
Cole, I hope this is working. My name is Bernie Schwartz. I live at 10255 Reed D'Angelo Avenue. I did not attend yesterday's session to say, but I understand there was an interplay among the candidates endorsing one another.
Can you speak up into the microphone, please?
I understand yesterday there was an interplay between the candidates endorsing one to another. My question is, do you think it is okay for one candidate to voice his opinion of the other candidates?
This question will start with Paul.
I was involved in that endorsement, and I can tell you right now that we have 5 good candidates that we can choose from. And I think a number of us feel that we have no problem in recommending other candidates as potential board members.